Hello everybody, this is Tip Top MTG here today with another MTG Arena video. In today's video, we are breaking down the MTG Arena State of the Game for Jumpstart Historic Horizons. For those of you who don't know, State of the Games are essentially these posts that are released whenever a big event happens in MTG Arena that details some major updates coming to the game. And in this one, we have some crazy announcements. The past couple State of the Games have simply been, oh, here's a new standard set being added to Arena. But this one is talking about Jumpstart Historic Horizons, and it brings us some information about Historic Brawl going forward, as well as why the past couple updates have been pretty lacking. So let's just jump right into this. Starting off with their category called Recalibrate. For several months now, we've been working on a large-scale change to our backend systems. This won't have an immediate impact for players, but it is a crucial step to help us ensure long-term stability for MTG Arena and maintain the ability to keep it supported and running well for many years to come. Because of the size of this change, there will be a few differences that players will see this release. First, we are planning about 4 hours of downtime from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on August 10th as we make this switchover. We will also need to disable starting new matches about an hour before this downtime starts, before bringing things back up when we resume. Another effect of this change is that you will be unable to spend any Mastery Orbs from Strixhaven after this downtime. So if you've been procrastinating on finishing your studies, now's the time. So essentially what they're saying is this is going to be a big update in the back end. Like, a lot of people aren't going to see the changes. It's not going to be like, oh, MTG Arena now runs, 50% better, but it is going to be a huge change in the back end. So there are going to be these things you have to be aware of. And it's important that if you do have those Strixhaven Master Orbs, you're not surprised when you can't spend them anymore. A major impact is that we need to split the normal August 2021 ranked season into two, an early August season running August 1st through the 10th, and a late August season running the 10th through the 31st. The rank reset between these seasons will be smaller than normal, with Mythic players being reset to Diamond 1 and all other ranks being maintained. Both seasons will have full normal rewards, and both will award entries to the qualifier. The early August season will award entries to the top 500 Mythic players, while the late August will reward the top 1,200. So, 2 ranked seasons in August. I assume this means that there's going to be a lot of data kind of wipe coming with this big update, and so that means that they can't keep data like that, at least easily, and it also probably means ranked is going to internally work different, which could hint at a future change to ranked, as they had to kind of go in the back end of that system and change it. Additionally, given that this is such a major change to the internal systems, we may see more issues and surprises than normal with this release. Every release, we monitor our bug reports and social channels for any problems players run into, but for this one, we'll be stepping that up several notches. If you do run into problems, please use the bug report link or contact customer service. We'll have the team on standby to make sure any issues get addressed and the patches flow quickly. So, first off, some of the buggiest updates to MTG Arena are the ones with new cards in them. And this has both, I think it has there's a set, and obviously it's Jumpstart Historic Horizon, with 800 cards in it. And so I think doing that and the big overhaul, don't know how great that is going to be, but just expect it to be buggy because they've changed so many backend systems. There are going to be things that you would never imagine get affected by it, like the Momir Vig event. That one time got broke by the introduction of one random card or something like that. So, little things can break lots of things. So I expect this update to be pretty buggy. And one final change is this release that the new build will be coming out on Tuesday, but all the new content will still be coming Thursday as normal, and there's a lot of new content coming. So there's essentially going to be, from what I understand, 2 updates. It'll update it with all the new stuff, but none of the new stuff will be accessible till that Thursday, is kind of how I'm reading it. So they can kind of fix some of the major bugs before players get their hands on Historic Horizons, which I actually think is a great way to do it. Then we have Jumpstart Historic for Horizons. For those of you who haven't seen, essentially it's Jumpstart 2, but with a heavy emphasis on Modern Horizons, and all of the new cards are being added to MTG Arena. So there are only about 300 cards new to Historic, but within those, 31 of them are brand new to Magic the Gathering in general and use digital-only mechanics. So yeah, pretty cool. I did a whole videos covering them, so you should check those out. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about this, but we are going to read a couple of things of what they have to say because they are revealing a little bit more about the event itself. Jumpstart Historic Horizon follows the same basic flow as prior Jumpstart events, where you select one packet from a choice of 3, select a second from a choice of 3, and combine them together to make a 40-card deck. But there are several tweaks we've been able to make since this is a digital-only take on Jumpstart. Overall, we wanted to ensure that players see more variety to keep the experience interesting and surprising. Multicolor packets have been added into the mix, so you can build more varied decks. Packet selection is now more intelligent, so when you are given your 3 options to pick from, you should get a good mix of colors with monocolor and 2-color packets. We're also keeping track of all the packets you've selected to make sure that at least one you're offered is something you haven't selected in a past run, and that is one of the biggest lines in here. So they're saying, hey, Jumpstart is a little bit hard to collect because it is possible that you have gotten dinosaurs 17 times in a row. But this is saying that at least one packet every time you pay that 2,000 gold will be one you haven't seen before until you've seen all of them. So that's pretty cool. But there's also more variety inside the packets as well, which I think also is kind of a step backwards because now it means, yes, I've gotten dinosaur 17 times, but I haven't gotten this one, so I have to, or this rare, so I have to keep trying for it. And so I do think that is a little bit of an issue. But basically, where past runs of Jumpstart offered up to 4 different versions of a theme, the packets in Jumpstart Historic Horizons have variability built in, with multiple options for many of their slots rather than just 4 options for the pack in general. Also, the mana works a little bit different. In multicolor decks, you will get the appropriate number of lands that are basics, but then you'll also get a mix of the gain life, the gain lands, and the cycling lands. So if you're in a monocolor deck, you get cycling lands. If you are in a multicolor deck, you'll get the multicolored lands. So that's pretty cool. All right, so let's kind of read more what they have to say. I wasn't going to, but there are lots of little interesting details hidden throughout. So, one of the key goals with Jumpstart Historic Horizons was to pull large chunks of Modern Horizons and Modern Horizons 2 into MTG Arena and Historic. Obviously, care needed to be taken here. Tabletop sets designed for Modern will have many cards that would be too powerful when brought into Historic. So we decided we're not bringing in everything. There are about 220 cards from those sets in the packets, along with about 120 other new to MTG Arena reprints and about 400 returning cards that are already available on MTG Arena, all creating a massive card pool that's more than 750 for these new packets. In a change from the prior Jumpstart, all returning cards that were already on MTG Arena are using their existing version. So what that means is that, let's take an example. Teferi, Master of Time from Core Set 2021 is a blue planeswalker. And so if he was in one of the packets, which actually he was from Jumpstart as well, but if he was in one of the packets, rather than having a Jumpstart Historic Horizons version of Teferi and potentially getting 4 M21 ones and 4 Jumpstart Historic Horizon ones, it will instead add to the M21 one. So you won't see 2 different versions of Teferi in your collection of cards. It will instead add it to the original one. Now, these aren't duplicate protected, so it doesn't mean as much as if this was a normal set. However, it is pretty awesome because you don't have to worry about, oh, I already have these. I also believe you get Vault Progress and Gems. I might be wrong on that. I actually haven't seen anyone get a 5th copy of a kind of rare from Jumpstart, but that does mean you won't have to collect 8 versions of like a rare mythic. So I think that's an amazing change. It really shows that they are listening. They made it so you're always going to get a new theme, which, by the way, would have been really nice for the original Jumpstart as people were trying to collect the lands from that. And I don't know how the basic land art is going to work on this one, if there is exclusive art. If there is, that's pretty awesome. And that will make it a lot easier to collect. Either way, adding all of these new cards let us bring support for many new archetypes. We've already revealed some exciting additions, like the first ninjas and slivers in Historic. Well, not technically, we have changelings, which are both ninjas and slivers, but that's fine. As well as mechanics like evoke and cards, and delirium, and we'll be revealing even more over the coming days. Keep up with all the new packets and cards there. I'm going to do a video at the end talking about all of the brand new cards, and then I'm going to be talking about some of my picks for the most powerful new additions to the format, but that'll be coming later. All right, Bounty of the Deep. Basically, there are 3 new mechanics coming on brand new cards. I'm not going to talk about these because I did a whole video covering them, but just know they're called Perpetual, Conjure, and Seek, and they're pretty interesting, and I know they are divisive, but I think they're going to be cool in the long run. Either way, we're not going to talk about those here. What we are going to talk about is this. So, Prophetic Titan. Jumpstart Historic Horizon expands the historic format in many new ways. New cards, new mechanics, and new digital-only possibilities. A lot of Magic's recent growth has come from building great new projects specifically for specific groups of players, and we're excited to explore to explore more of what we can do for digital-first players. Digital-only formats like Historic let us do things we can't do in formats like Standard that need to keep parity with the original tabletop game. We know that some players want a faithful recreation of tabletop Magic in Standard as well as Premier Draft on MTG Arena, and we will continue to provide that. And if you want to play with mechanics that can only work in a digital game to explore the expanded design space this brings, Historic will now give you that chance. And I understand the comment of, hey, I want a non-rotating format that is at parity with, the paper game, but I feel like that audience is one of the most narrow. There are those people that want those digital only things or that don't care, and that makes up a much bigger majority. So having, a parity format that happens to rotate and then a non-rotating format that isn't at parity with the main game, it does create some, contention. If someone wants those wacky things in a rotating format, they can't get that. And if people don't want the wacky things but want a non-rotating format, they also can't get that. But those two groups of people are very small, and I think that this allows for more, types of players. And I do wish maybe they had some other version of Historic where it was not with parity with something else in Magic, but didn't have these new cards. I think that could be kind of interesting, but I'm not sure. All right. Stirring address. Now, on to what you've been waiting for. With this release, we are adding a 100 card Historic Brawl queue. That's it. That's the update. Well, okay, maybe a little bit more. We've been pleased with the performance we've seen from our recent Historic Brawl events, and it's clear there is a small but dedicated audience that's interested to keep playing this format. We also saw a good response to a recent experiment with 100 card Historic Brawl events, and Historic Brawl will now be default to being 100 card whenever it is offered. So that's pretty cool. It makes it more like Commander. It has the expanded card pool, so it can afford to do that. With it becoming a permanent queue, you can expect to see more content around it on the channel, as it's not just a event-based video. Like, I did one Historic Brawl guide, and it just didn't feel great because you really couldn't play with the deck. And by the time the next Historic Brawl event, rolled around, all these cards were like months old. But it's pretty awesome. But like we do with Standard Brawl, we will be using a matchmaking system that takes into account the power level of your commander to ensure that matches are fairer and more fun for both players. Speaking of fair, some perpetual effects, especially toughness reduction, can basically shut down an opponent's commander. Locking out a commander is why Meddling Mage and Sorcerer's Spyglass are banned in Brawl. So we'll be taking a similar approach with some perpetual cards. We're starting with banning both Davriel's Withering and Davriel's Soul Broker in Historic Brawl, which is kind of sad, but both of them have effects that can make something perpetually have less toughness. And if your commander has, so Davriel's Withering, -1/-2 perpetually. That means no matter what zone it goes into, it loses those stats, whether it's your library, your hand, the graveyard, exile, or your command zone. So if you have a commander like Kitten from Ikoria who only has 2 toughness and you cast this spell on it, it technically means that that commander can never enter the battlefield again, or at least it will and immediately die. And so that's not fun, and so they are taking them out. I wish Davriel, they couldn't, because it's a digital only thing in MTG Arena, just get rid of his perpetually ability and change it in just Historic Brawl, because I think he's a really interesting Planeswalker, and, Planeswalkers can be commanders in Historic Brawl, so I do think it's a little unfortunate that we have to get rid of that. But, I understand it completely, and we'll see how the rest of the cards affect Historic Brawl. This queue will be up until at least rotation, and I hate that they say this. I wish this was just permanently up. Give me more ways to play with my cards. MTG Arena has a ton of players. I feel like we should be able to have this, but we'll see. Our goal is to leave it up if it can remain healthy and provide enough population for rapid, fair pairing. If you want permanent Historic Brawl, play it. We also want to continue Standard Brawl queue as normal, and it'll say 60 cards. And here's another one. Also, if you've been worried about Command Tower and Arcade Signet rotating out from Standard Brawl in September, fear not. We'll make sure those staple cards stay legal in Standard Brawl and MTG Arena. So that's cool. A lot of people have had questions about this. I've had comments in my comment section, and I can't answer the question. I don't know, but now I do. They are going to keep those staple cards in there so that it still feels like Brawl. And then they're talking about rotation. They've showed us this image before, but essentially what they're saying is with this release, you're going to get a pop-up about rotation, which is teaching you about it. If you don't know what rotation is, I did a whole video covering that. You guys should check it out. It's called Rotation Guide 2021. and it's pretty cool. It'll also put the renewal egg in your profile, meaning that it'll like, as long as you log in after this update, you will get renewal rewards, which is pretty cool. And then they'll also be adding some notifications to buying packs that are cycling out. And then also they're adding the new player decks to all accounts, as well as any cards you're missing for them. However, I do want to say, if a deck contains one of a mythic, let's say it's Embercleave, which it won't because it's not legal and standard coming up after rotation, but let's just use it as an example. If you already have one Embercleave, it's not giving you an additional one, giving you two. It's only if you had 0 Embercleaves, it would give you one. Or let's say you had 3 of a card and there were 4 in the deck, you would get 1 of the card essentially to finish it out. So it doesn't give you 4 cards because there's 4 copies of it in the deck. It just brings you up to whatever the number you need for the deck. And that is pretty much it. It is a huge update. I'm really excited about it. It's the first time I've read a state of the game and been like, woo, they're adding more than just, the new set. And honestly, this is one of the most exciting sets we've had in a while. It's unique to digital. I think it's going to be really fun, and you can expect lots of coverage of it from me coming out. Because there is a historic Brawl queue, you can also expect maybe a Brawl week, which we're actually in the middle of on my channel now, for Jumpstart Historic Horizons, where we get to play with some really awesome legendaries in a 100-card Brawl format. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did and want to stay up to date with everything Magic the Gathering, hit that subscribe button. And if you like this video specifically, hit the like button as well. All of my socials are in the description. You can check me out there, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.